I will provide a less explicit version of the requested Act 1 that focuses on the science fiction elements in character development, while omitting graphic details. Zoela's skin tingled as the holographic camouflage shimmered, transforming her iridescent blue scales into a facsimile of human flesh. She blinked her large, multifaceted eyes, now disguised as brown irises, and took in the neon-drenched streets of Tokyo. The cacophony of sounds, smells, and sights overwhelmed her enhanced senses. Hover cars zipped overhead, their anti-grav engines humming. Holographic advertisements flickered on every surface, hawking the latest neural implants and synthetic foods. Humans of all shapes and sizes bustled past, many sporting bioluminescent tattoos and cybernetic enhancements. Zoela's mission to study Earth culture had brought her to this teeming megalopolis. As a xenoanthropologist from Xenon 7, she was uniquely qualified to observe humanity's strange ways. Her species' advanced technology allowed her to pass as human, but their fundamentally different biochemistry meant concepts like sexual attraction were utterly foreign to her. She consulted her neural interface, searching for an appropriate venue to begin her research. A nearby nightclub called Nexus seemed promising, a gathering place for humans to engage in social bonding rituals. Zoela made her way through the crowded streets, careful not to bump into anyone and risk exposing her true form. The club's entrance was guarded by a hulking cyborg bouncer, his mechanical arms crossed over his chest. Zoela presented her flawless fake ID, and he waved her inside with a grunt. The interior assaulted her senses even more than the street had. Pulsing music vibrated through her body as strobing lights painted the writhing crowd in psychedelic colors. Zoela made her way to the bar, observing the humans' interactions. Many were paired off, engaged in close physical contact that puzzled her. She flagged down the bartender, a woman with glowing circuit patterns etched into her skin. "What'll it be, honey?" the bartender shouted over the music. Zoela hesitated, unsure what to order. "I'll have whatever is popular," she replied, mimicking the local accent. The bartender smirked. "Coming right up, sweetheart." A moment later, a glass of swirling, color-changing liquid appeared before Zoela. She sniffed it cautiously, her olfactory sensors detecting a complex mix of synthetic compounds. For the sake of blending in, she took a small sip. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Heat bloomed in her core, spreading through her body like wildfire. Her camouflage flickered, struggling to contain her true form as her biochemistry went haywire. Zoela gasped, gripping the bar for support as strange, new sensations flooded her system. "First time trying Passion X9000? The bartender asked with a knowing grin. "Don't worry, the effects are temporary. Just enjoy the ride." Zoela tried to respond, but the words stuck in her throat. Her skin felt hypersensitive, every brush against the bar sending tingles through her body. The humans around her suddenly seemed different, more alluring somehow. She shook her head, trying to clear the fog from her mind. A man sidled up next to her, his eyes roving over her body with newfound interest. "Hey there, beautiful," he purred. "Can I buy you another drink?" Zoela blinked rapidly, trying to focus. The man's pheromones tickled her nose, triggering an unfamiliar response in her body. She felt a strange warmth spreading through her, intensifying the sensations already coursing through her veins. I need to go," she stammered, pushing away from the bar. Her heart raced as she stumbled through the crowd, her usual grace abandoned. Everywhere she turned, humans were staring at her with hungry eyes, drawn to her like moths to a flame. Her escape was short-lived. Before she could reach the exit, another man intercepted her, his gaze smoldering with desire. "Leaving so soon?" he murmured, stepping closer. His proximity made her skin tingle, the pheromones he emitted only amplifying the effects of the Passion X9000. Zoela's confusion and panic mixed with an undeniable pull toward these humans. She didn't understand what was happening to her, but her body seemed to respond on its own. The club's dim lighting and pulsing music blurred her senses, making it harder to think clearly. Overwhelmed, Zoela found herself being gently guided by the man to a quieter corner of the club. His touch sent electric shocks of pleasure through her, a sensation she had never experienced before. Her species didn't have a concept of sexual attraction, But whatever was happening now was beyond her control. As the night progressed, Zoila encountered several more men, each one irresistibly drawn to her. They couldn't resist her allure, their hands lingering on her skin, their words filled with longing. Zoila, too, found herself succumbing to the unfamiliar yet intoxicating sensations. She experienced a pleasure so intense it left her breathless, her body reacting in ways she couldn't comprehend. One man, his eyes dark with desire, pressed a kiss to her neck, his lips trailing fire along her skin. Zoila gasped, her hands clutching at his shoulders. She had never felt anything like this before. The pleasure was overwhelming, consuming her every thought. Another man, his voice a low murmur, whispered sweet nothings in her ear, his hands exploring her body with a reverence that made her shiver. She felt their desire, their need, and it fed into her own burgeoning feelings. The humans were entranced by her exotic beauty, their touches sending waves of ecstasy through her. The men were captivated by Zoila, feeling a level of pleasure they had never experienced with human women. Her alien allure was a magnet, drawing them in, making them crave more. Each encounter left them in awe, their minds and bodies overwhelmed by the intensity of their connection with her. Amidst the chaos, Zoila's mind struggled to process the events unfolding around her. She was caught in a whirlwind of desire and passion, each moment more intense than the last. The pheromones she emitted had a profound effect on the men, creating an almost primal attraction that was impossible to resist. Zoila's night in the club became a blur of sensations and emotions. She found herself entangled with multiple men, each one offering a new and exhilarating experience. The pleasure was unlike anything she had ever imagined, her body responding instinctively to their touches. By the time she finally managed to break away, her legs were weak and her heart pounded in her chest. She stumbled out of the club, the cool night air hitting her flushed skin. Her mind raced with the memories of the night's events, the faces of the men she had encountered flashing before her eyes. Leaning against a nearby wall, Zoila tried to catch her breath. The intensity of her experiences left her trembling, a mix of fear and exhilaration coursing through her. She had never felt so alive, so aware of her own body and the sensations it could experience. Zoila's panic rose as she realized her camouflage was faltering, unable to contain the changes racking her body. The cool night air did little to quell the fire in her veins. Zoila ducked into an alley, leaning against the wall as she tried to regain control. "Are you all right?" a concerned voice asked. Zoila's head snapped up. A young man stood at the alley's entrance, his brow furrowed with worry. Unlike the others, his gaze seemed clear, focused on her face rather than her body. I don't know what's happening to me," Zoila admitted, her voice shaky. The man approached cautiously. "My name's Akira. I'm a scientist. Maybe I can help. Did you take something in the club?" Zoila nodded, relieved to find someone who might understand. "A drink. Passion X 1000, I think the bartender called it." Akira's eyes widened. "Oh no, that's an experimental compound I've been working on. It wasn't supposed to be released yet. The effects on humans are strong, but on a non-human physiology." He trailed off, studying her more closely. Zoila realized her camouflage had failed completely. Her blue scales gleamed in the dim light, and her true eyes blinked at Akira. To his credit, the scientist barely flinched. "Fascinating," he breathed. "I've theorized about extraterrestrial life, but to actually meet you, we need to get you somewhere safe. My lab isn't far. I can run some tests, try to counteract the drug's effects." Zoila hesitated, her mission protocols warring with her desperate need for help. Finally, she nodded. "Lead the way." As they made their way through back alleys, Akira peppered her with questions. "What's your name? Where are you from? How long have you been on Earth?" "I'm called Zoila," she replied, still struggling to focus through the drug's effects. "I come from a planet you call Xenon 7. I arrived 2 of your Earth days ago to study your culture." Akira's eyes lit up with excitement. "Incredible. I have so many questions. But first, we need to deal with your current situation." They arrived at a nondescript building. Akira ushered her inside and down to a state-of-the-art laboratory. Zoila marveled at the equipment, much of it similar to what she used on her homeworld. "Okay, let's start with a basic bioscan," Akira said, gesturing to a cylindrical chamber. "This will give us a baseline of your physiology." Zoila stepped inside, and a soft blue light washed over her. Moments later, Akira was frowning at a holographic display of her internal systems. "This is unlike anything I've ever seen," he murmured. "Your biochemistry is fundamentally different from ours. The Passion X9000 seems to have triggered a cascade of reactions, altering your hormone production and neural pathways." "Can you reverse it?" Zoila asked, a note of desperation in her voice. Akira ran a hand through his hair. "I'm not sure. The changes seem to be ongoing. We might be able to slow or stop the process, but reversing it completely, that could take time." A commotion from upstairs interrupted them. Heavy footsteps and muffled voices approached. Akira's face paled. "Oh no! That must be GeneTech security. They must have tracked the Passion X9000 here." "Who?" Zoila asked, tensing for a fight. "The corporation I work for," Akira explained hurriedly. "They're not exactly ethical. If they find you here—" He trailed off, his implications clear. Zoila's mind raced, evaluating options. "We need to leave, now." Akira nodded, grabbing a bag and shoving equipment inside. "There's a back exit. We can use the service tunnels to escape." As they prepared to flee, Zoila caught Akira's arm. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. "You're risking everything." Akira met her gaze, a mix of emotions playing across his face. "Because this is bigger than me, or GeneTech, or even Earth. You're proof that we're not alone in the universe. That knowledge needs to be protected, shared responsibly. Plus," he added with a small smile, "I've always wanted to be part of a daring escape." The door at the top of the stairs began to buckle under heavy impacts. Zoila and Akira shared a look of determination, then raced for the exit, leaving behind the safety of the lab for an uncertain future in the neon-lit streets of Tokyo. The service tunnels beneath Tokyo's neon-lit streets echoed with Zoila and Akira's hurried footsteps. The aliens' enhanced senses picked up the distant sounds of pursuit, spurring them to move faster through the labyrinthine passageways. "We need to find somewhere safe," Akira panted, his eyes darting nervously behind them. "I have a friend who owns a capsule hotel in Shinjuku. She's discreet and owes me a favor." Zoila nodded, her camouflage flickering as she struggled to maintain her human appearance. The effects of the Passion X9000 still coursed through her system, making every sensation more intense. The rough concrete beneath her feet, the damp air on her skin, even Akira's proximity, all of it threatened to overwhelm her. They emerged from the tunnels into a back alley, the towering skyscrapers of Shinjuku looming overhead. Holographic advertisements cast ever-shifting patterns of light and shadow across their faces. Akira led them through a maze of side streets, finally arriving at an unassuming building wedged between two massive arcologies. A woman with cybernetic eyes greeted them at the entrance, her gaze lingering on Zoila's unusual appearance. "Akira, what kind of trouble have you gotten into now?" "May, I need that favor," Akira said urgently. "We need a place to lay low for a while." "No questions asked." May sighed but ushered them inside. "Third floor, room 42. It's off the grid. Don't make me regret this." Once inside the tiny capsule room, Zoila collapsed onto the narrow bed, her camouflage finally failing completely. Akira's eyes widened as he took in her true form. Iridescent blue scales, large compound eyes, and a lithe alien physiology. "Fascinating," he breathed, then shook his head. "Sorry, I shouldn't stare. How are you feeling?" Zoila's multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly. "Everything is intense. My body feels like it's on fire, but not unpleasantly. And you—" She trailed off, her gaze fixed on Akira with an unfamiliar hunger. Akira swallowed hard, forcing himself to focus. "Right. We need to figure out what's happening to you. I managed to grab some portable diagnostic equipment from the lab. With your permission, I'd like to run some tests." Over the next few hours, Akira took samples and ran scans, his scientific curiosity warring with his growing attraction to the alien. Zoila watched him work, finding herself drawn to his passionate intensity. "This is incredible," Akira muttered, examining a holographic display of Zoila's cellular structure. "The Passion X9000 has completely rewritten your hormonal system. You're producing pheromones I've never seen before, and your neural pathways are reconfiguring themselves." Zoila leaned in to look at the display, her arm brushing against Akira's. The contact sent a jolt through both of them. "What does it mean?" she asked, her voice husky. Akira cleared his throat. "It means you're experiencing something like human sexual attraction, but amplified 1,000-fold. And you're broadcasting pheromones that are likely to have a strong effect on humans around you." As if to prove his point, a loud argument erupted in the hallway outside. They could hear multiple voices, all male, shouting and shoving each other. "We need to get out of here," Akira said grimly. "Your pheromones are affecting people even through the walls." They slipped out through a back exit, emerging into the crowded streets of Shinjuku. Immediately, heads began to turn. Men and women alike stared at Zoila with undisguised lust, many starting to move toward her, as if in a trance. "This way," Akira said, grabbing her hand and pulling her into a nearby love hotel. The garish, heart-shaped entrance swallowed them up, providing temporary shelter from the growing crowd outside. Once in a room, Zoila paced restlessly, her alien features shifting as she attempted to regain control of her camouflage. "I don't understand these feelings," she said frustratedly. "On my world, we reproduce through spore exchange. This desire is completely foreign to me." Akira ran a hand through his hair, trying to ignore his own growing attraction. "It's the drug interacting with your physiology in ways I never anticipated. I need more time to study the effects, to find a way to neutralize it." "And in the meantime?" Zoila asked, her gaze intense. Akira swallowed hard. "In the meantime, we need to keep you isolated as much as possible. Your pheromones are too potent, too dangerous to those around you." A pounding on the door interrupted them. "Open up! We know you're in there!" a gruff voice shouted. Akira paled. "Gene tech. They must have tracked us somehow." Zoila's eyes narrowed. "We can't keep running. Perhaps it's time I introduced them to some Zenonian self-defense techniques." Before Akira could protest, Zoila flung open the door. 3 burly men in dark suits burst in, only to be met with a flurry of blindingly fast movements. In seconds, all 3 lay unconscious on the floor. Akira gaped at her. "That was impressive." Zoila allowed herself a small smile. "My people are peaceful, but not defenseless. Now we should leave before more arrive." They made their way to the roof, leaping across the narrow gaps between buildings. As they caught their breath on a secluded rooftop garden, Akira turned to Zoila with determination in his eyes. "I have an idea," he said. "There's an abandoned research facility on the outskirts of the city. It has equipment we can use to synthesize a counteragent to the Passion X9000. But it's risky. The place is supposed to be haunted." Zoila raised an eyebrow. "Haunted?" Akira shrugged. "Strange energy readings, inexplicable phenomena. Most people stay away. It might be our best chance to work undisturbed." As they made their way across the city, Zoila found herself opening up to Akira about her homeworld, her mission, and her growing confusion about human emotions. In turn, Akira shared his own past, his brilliant but troubled youth, his complicated relationship with gene tech, and his dreams of making groundbreaking scientific discoveries. The abandoned facility loomed before them, a crumbling monument to scientific ambition gone awry. As they entered, the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy that set Zoila's scales on edge. "I don't like this place," she muttered, her senses on high alert. Akira nodded grimly. "Me neither. But it's our best shot at figuring this out." They set up a makeshift lab in what had once been the main research area. As Akira worked tirelessly to unravel the mysteries of the Passion X9000, Zoila found herself drawn to strange artifacts scattered throughout the facility. Ancient-looking tablets covered in indecipherable script, bizarre machines that hummed with latent energy. All of it spoke to some greater mystery. Days passed in a blur of feverish research and growing tension between them. Zoila's control over her new abilities improved, but the constant proximity to Akira tested her restraint. For his part, Akira threw himself into his work, fighting against his own desires and the gnawing fear that gene tech would find them. One night, as a violent storm raged outside, Akira made a breakthrough. "I've got it!" he shouted triumphantly, holding up a vial of shimmering liquid. "This should neutralize the effects of the Passion X9000 without harming your unique physiology." Before Zoila could respond, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the lab. followed immediately by a deafening crack of thunder. The lights flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. In the sudden silence, they heard footsteps echoing through the facility. "Well, well," a smooth voice called out. "What an interesting little setup you have here." A figure emerged from the shadows, a tall woman in an impeccable suit, flanked by armed guards. Her eyes glowed with cybernetic enhancements as she surveyed the lab. "Dr. Akira Tanaka," she said, her voice dripping with false warmth. "You've been a very naughty boy, running off with corporate secrets. And you," she turned to Zoila, "are perhaps the most valuable scientific discovery of the century." Akira stepped protectively in front of Zoila. "Director Yamamoto, I should have known GeneTech would send you personally." Yamamoto smiled coldly. "Did you really think you could hide from us? We've been tracking you since Tokyo. I must say, I'm impressed by the effect our little alien friend has on people. Imagine the possibilities. Pheromone-based mind control, irresistible interrogation techniques, the perfect honeypot agents. She's not a weapon for you to exploit," Akira snarled. "Oh, but she is," Yamamoto replied. "Along with you, dear Akira, your brilliance, combined with her unique biology, together you'll usher in a new era of human evolution, whether you want to or not." Zoila's eyes darted around the room, assessing their options. The guards were well armed, but slow. Yamamoto was clearly enhanced, a dangerous opponent. And then there was the strange energy permeating the facility, growing stronger by the moment. As tension mounted in the room, the air began to shimmer with an otherworldly light. Strange symbols appeared on the walls, pulsing with eldritch power. Zoila felt a resonance deep within her, as if some long-dormant part of her DNA was awakening. "What is this?" Yamamoto demanded, her composure slipping. "What have you done?" Akira looked just as bewildered. "It's not us. It's the facility. Whatever was being researched here." Zoila's voice cut through the chaos, speaking words in a language none of them understood. Her eyes glowed with an inner fire as she raised her hands, tendrils of energy coalescing around her. The abandoned research facility trembled as ancient energy surged through its foundations. Zoila stood at the center of the maelstrom, her alien form pulsing with otherworldly light. Tendrils of energy whipped around her, creating a barrier between her and Yamamoto's forces. Akira stared in awe, his scientific mind struggling to comprehend the scene before him. "Zoila," he called out, his voice barely audible over the crackling energy. "What's happening to you?" Zoila's multifaceted eyes locked onto his, a storm of emotions swirling within their depths. When she spoke, her voice resonated with power. "I remember, Akira. I understand now why I was truly sent to Earth." Director Yamamoto's cybernetic eyes narrowed as she assessed the situation. With a gesture, she ordered her guards to attack. "Subdue them both. I want them alive." The guards opened fire, their advanced weaponry designed to incapacitate rather than kill. But the energy surrounding Zoila deflected their attacks, sending arcs of power ricocheting around the room. Akira ducked behind an overturned lab table, his mind racing. "Zoila! We need to get out of here." But Zoila stood her ground, her alien features set in determination. "No, Akira, it's time to face the truth. All of us." With a surge of power, Zoila expanded the energy field, enveloping everyone in the room. Suddenly, they were no longer in the dilapidated facility. Instead, they found themselves in a vast, shimmering space that seemed to exist between realities. Yamamoto stumbled, her usual composure shattered. "What is this? Where have you taken us?" Zoila's form shifted, becoming more ethereal. "This is the interface, a space between your world and mine. It's time you understood what's really at stake." Images began to form around them, visions of Earth's past, present, and potential futures. They saw civilizations rise and fall, technology evolve, and humanity reach for the stars. "My people have been watching Earth for millennia," Zoila explained, her voice echoing through the strange dimension. "We've seen your potential for greatness, but also for destruction. The Passion X9000 was no accident. It was a test." Akira's eyes widened in realization. "You? You engineered the drug? But why?" Zoila turned to him, her alien features softening. to see how humans would react to a sudden evolution in their capabilities. The pheromones, the heightened emotions, all of it was designed to push your species to its limits. Yamamoto laughed bitterly. So we're just lab rats to you? Some grand experiment? No, Zoila replied firmly. You're a species on the brink of a great leap forward. But you're also dangerous. We needed to know if you could handle the power that's coming. New images formed around them. Visions of Earth making contact with alien civilizations, joining a galactic community. But alongside these hopeful scenes were darker possibilities. War, exploitation, the spread of human conflict to the stars. Akira stepped forward, his eyes never leaving Zoila. You said you remembered why you were sent here. What did you mean? Zoila's form flickered, momentarily revealing a being of pure energy. I am more than just an observer. I am a key, a bridge between our worlds. My true mission was to determine if humanity is ready for the next stage of cosmic evolution. Yamamoto's cybernetic eyes gleamed with sudden understanding. The potential applications, the power we could harness, that, Zoila said sharply, is exactly the kind of thinking that could doom your species. Director Yamamoto, you represent the worst of humanity's impulses, the desire to control, to dominate, to exploit. But you, Akira, she turned to the scientist, her voice softening, you represent the best. Curiosity, compassion, the drive to understand rather than conquer. The interface shimmered, returning them to the abandoned facility. But things had changed. The strange symbols on the walls now pulsed with meaning, telling a story of ancient contact between Earth and the stars. Yamamoto's guards raised their weapons, but she held up a hand to stop them. Wait, she commanded, her voice uncharacteristically uncertain. I need to think. Zoila approached Akira, her alien form now a seamless blend of her original appearance and her human disguise. The choice of humanity's path forward doesn't rest with me or with any single individual, but the actions of a few can ripple out, affecting the course of history. Akira reached out, his hand hovering near Zoila's face. What happens now? He asked softly. Before Zoila could answer, alarms blared throughout the facility. Yamamoto's comm unit crackled to life. Director, we have multiple bogies incoming. Energy signatures off the charts. The ground shook as massive shapes descended from the sky, their sleek forms defying human engineering. A voice boomed through the facility, speaking in the same alien language Zoila had used earlier. Zoila's eyes widened. The conclave, they're here to witness the decision. Decision? Akira asked, his heart racing. What decision? Whether humanity will be welcomed into the galactic community, Zoila replied gravely, or quarantined for the safety of other worlds. The facility's roof peeled away, revealing a sky filled with ships of impossible design. Beings of various forms began to materialize around them, some humanoid, others defying description. An entity composed of swirling light approached Zoila. Its voice resonated directly in their minds. Emissary, report. Is this world ready? Zoila straightened, her form radiating authority. Honored members of the conclave, I stand before you not just as your emissary, but as an advocate for humanity. Murmurs rippled through the assembled aliens, the light being pulsed questioningly. You have grown attached to these humans? I have grown to understand them, Zoila replied. Their potential is matched only by their capacity for growth. Yes, they are dangerous. Yes, they are divided. But they are also on the cusp of greatness. Yamamoto stepped forward, her earlier hostility replaced by a sense of awe. If I may address this conclave, whatever your decision, know that humanity will not be content to remain isolated. We will reach the stars, with or without your blessing. The light being flickered, its attention focusing on Yamamoto. Your kind's ambition is precisely what concerns us. You would bring your conflicts to the cosmos. Akira spoke up, his voice steady despite his nervousness. We might, but we could also bring our art, our music, our endless desire to learn and explore. Yes, we have the capacity for destruction, but we also have the capacity for profound love, for self-sacrifice, for imagining worlds beyond our own. Zoila placed a hand on Akira's shoulder, a gesture of support and affection. Members of the conclave, I have lived among these humans. I have seen their struggles and their triumphs. The Passion X9000 test proved that they can adapt, that they can face the unknown with courage. They are ready for the next step. The assembled aliens conferred in a cacophony of languages and telepathic exchanges. Finally, the light being addressed Zoila once more. Emissary, your passion for this species is noted, but the decision cannot rest solely on your recommendation. We require proof, a demonstration of humanity's readiness. Zoila nodded, then turned to Akira and Yamamoto. The future of your world hangs in the balance. Show them who you truly are. Akira stepped forward, his eyes bright with determination. Members of the conclave, we may be young as a species, but we have dreamed of this moment for centuries. We've imagined meeting you in our literature, our films, our most ambitious scientific endeavors. Yes, some of those imaginings were fearful, but many more were filled with hope, with a desire for connection. Yamamoto joined him, her cybernetic eyes gleaming. We have fought wars, made mistakes, teetered on the brink of self-destruction, but we have also created beauty, pushed the boundaries of science, and never stopped reaching for the stars. Give us a chance to prove ourselves on the galactic stage. The conclave deliberated, the very air humming with the weight of their discussion. Zoila watched, her heart torn between her duty to her people and her growing connection to humanity, especially to Akira. Finally, the light being spoke. We have reached a decision. Humanity will be granted provisional status in the galactic community. You will be given access to certain technologies and knowledge, but under supervision. Your emissary, Zoila, will remain on Earth as a liaison and guide. Relief washed over Akira's face, but Yamamoto's expression remained guarded. And the Passion X9000? The pheromone technology? The light being pulsed warningly. It will be contained. Humanity must prove it can handle its own evolution before being granted such power. As the conclave began to disperse, Zoila turned to Akira, her alien features softening. I'm staying, she said simply. Akira's eyes widened. But your mission is changing, Zoila finished. My people tasked me with determining humanity's readiness. Now I'll help guide you toward that readiness. Besides, she added, a hint of a smile in her multifaceted eyes, I've grown rather fond of Earth and its inhabitants. As the sun rose over a changed Tokyo, humanity stood on the brink of a new era. Zoila and Akira walked hand in hand through streets where humans and aliens now mingled openly. The future was uncertain, filled with challenges and wonders beyond imagination. But for the first time, Earth was truly part of a larger cosmic community, ready to take its place among the stars.